To the one who walks through this world with heavy shoulders and a quiet spirit, you are not forgotten. There are moments when the weight of everything you carry feels unbearable. Moments when the silence in your soul screams louder than the noise of the world. You've given your all time and time again, only to be met with betrayal, rejection, or indifference. The world, it seems, does not play fair, and you've begun to wonder if your light still matters, if your efforts still count, if your kindness is only a path to more pain. You who still choose honesty in a world that rewards deception. You who remain gentle in a culture that praises aggression. You who continue to love even after being hurt. You are not weak. You are rare. Perhaps no one has paused long enough to tell you this. There is profound strength in staying tender in a world hardened by survival. And though the world may never give you a stage or a spotlight, you are still worthy of standing tall. Even when your heart is tired, even when your dreams have been delayed, even when your voice trembles, let this message be the pause you need. Not because it holds all the answers, but because you deserve to be reminded of what's already within you. You have walked through fire, some of it visible, much of it unseen, and yet here you are, still breathing, still walking, still trying. The truth is, life isn't fair. The scales do not always balance. Some suffer without reason. Some rise without merit. Some receive without asking, while others plead and still go without. But your journey is not about fair. It is about faithful. It is about choosing to keep your soul intact when the world gives you every reason to fracture. And that, beloved soul, is a victory. You have not failed. Even when you fell. Even when you broke. Even when you couldn't rise as quickly as others expected you to. Every step you've taken in truth is a step of triumph. Because in a world that sells illusion, choosing truth is a rebellion. You are not behind. You are not less than. You are not a mistake. The delay in your life is not a denial. The pain in your story is not a punishment. The silence from the heavens is not abandonment. Sometimes what feels like a setback is simply a sacred preparation, a quiet refining, a slow molding of something stronger, deeper, more radiant within you. You were never meant to race against others. You were meant to walk in purpose, and purpose has its own pace. Look around. The world is loud. It celebrates speed and spectacle, but not everything meaningful moves fast. Not everything divine shouts to be seen. And you, your path, your light, your becoming, is sacred precisely because it does not need validation to be real. You don't need the world's approval to matter. You don't need applause to be valuable. Your quiet strength, your resilient hope, your ability to still care in a callous world, these are not small things. These are miracles in motion. Yes, the world is not fair. But you still have the power to be good, to be true, to be light. Even when the system is broken, even when justice feels absent, even when kindness feels futile, you still get to choose who you become in response. This is not a call to pretend, to smile while you suffer, to hide your humanity. No, this is an invitation to hold your sorrow and your strength in the same hands, to embrace your reality while still daring to hope. You have been shaped by what you've endured, but you are not defined by it. Your identity is not rooted in the losses, the betrayals, the unfair moments. Your identity is rooted in your essence, unchanged by circumstance. You are still capable of wonder, of healing, of love, of joy. You are still here, and that means your light has not gone out. Even if it flickers, even if it dims, even if it's hidden behind clouds of fatigue or fear, it is still there. Let this be a gentle awakening, a reminder that even in a world that is unjust and chaotic, you still carry something eternal. You still have something to offer, something no one can take away. So take this moment, close your eyes, breathe, feel the truth settle in. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are still becoming, and you are still meant to be light. especially now when the night feels longest, especially now when the world needs it most. Part 2. The meaning of pain. Pain has a voice. It does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers through the quiet of your sleepless nights, in the sigh between conversations, or in the pause before you respond with a practiced smile. It shows up in the tightness of your chest when a memory revisits, in the weight behind your eyes when you try to hold back tears, in the silence that falls after you say, "I'm fine," even when you're not. But pain is not merely a thief. It is not only a destroyer. Pain is a messenger. It comes to expose what needs healing. It comes to break open what has been numbed too long. It comes not to ruin you, but to reintroduce you to the deeper places of your own soul. Most people want to avoid pain. It's human. We are wired to seek comfort, to flee what hurts. But what if, instead of avoiding it, we listen to it? What if pain is not the enemy, but the evidence that we are still alive, still feeling, still human? In the unfairness of this world, pain is one of the few things that visits everyone. But not everyone chooses what to do with it. Some let it harden them. Some let it define them. But some, like you, let it shape them into something deeper, stronger, more compassionate. You've seen enough to know that life does not play fair. Good people suffer. Honest hearts get betrayed. Gentle souls are overlooked. And those who try to love often end up hurt the most. But still you wake up. Still you give. Still you hope. That is power, not the kind the world often recognizes, but the kind that builds legacies. Pain, when welcomed with honesty and not shame, becomes the soil where wisdom grows. It teaches you to slow down, to look inward, to ask questions that easy days never provoke. Who am I without applause? What do I cling to when everything else falls away? What still matters when I've lost so much? These questions don't come to break you. They come to rebuild you. The unfairness of the world has tried to teach you that your value is tied to what you produce, how perfect you appear, or how loudly you succeed. But pain teaches otherwise. Pain reminds you that you are valuable not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Because of what still lives in you, even after all that tried to kill it. You are not your suffering. You are not the sum of your wounds. You are the soul that chose to keep walking even with them. You are not broken, you are becoming. And perhaps that is the hidden purpose in it all. Not to avoid pain, but to allow it to deepen you. To let it chisel away the illusions and reveal the unshakable core beneath. The part of you that cannot be bought, cannot be borrowed, and cannot be broken. So when pain comes, sit with it. Ask it what it wants to teach. Not because you enjoy it, but because you no longer fear it. Because you've learned that even the cruelest chapters can be rewritten into something beautiful. This world may not give you justice. It may not apologize for what it's taken. But within you lies a strength that even suffering cannot erase. And that strength, that quiet, sacred resilience, is what makes you shine. You may not be able to change what happened, but you can choose what it becomes in you. Let it become wisdom. Let it become light. Let it become a new way of seeing not just the world, but yourself. You are not a victim of pain. You are its student, and someday you will be its teacher. Let the pain speak, but let your healing speak louder. 3. A light in the dark, motivational visualization. Picture a single candle in the midst of a vast, pitch-black hall. The darkness is thick, suffocating, and stretches endlessly in all directions. But the candle, though small, casts a soft and unwavering glow. That flicker of light might not chase away the entire darkness, but it breaks its dominance. In that vast space, the candle becomes a point of orientation, a beacon of quiet defiance against the overwhelming night. This image, simple yet profound, reflects the reality of many souls who, despite being surrounded by injustice, cruelty, and hopelessness, still choose to be light. You, dear soul, are that candle. And perhaps you do not realize just how many have been able to navigate their darkness simply because your light still burns. It is tempting to believe that unless we have the power to change the entire world, our actions hold no weight. This is one of the most insidious lies darkness whispers. But imagine again that candle. In a blackout, would anyone complain that a candle doesn't illuminate the whole city? No. That one flame is often all that's needed to help someone take the next step without falling. The world may not see your efforts broadcasted. Your kindness, your honesty, your patience, your refusal to retaliate, these might not trend, go viral, or be praised by many. But they ripple. They echo. They plant seeds in unseen hearts, and often, it's in the quiet transformation of one soul that the revolution of light begins. Let us bring this to something tangible. A teacher stands before a classroom of children in a poor neighborhood, a place long abandoned by hope. With outdated books, broken chairs, and underpaid wages, she teaches with the same passion she would in a school filled with resources. The world does not cheer. No media follows her story. But one of those children will remember the way she smiled through exhaustion, how she refused to give up, and how she believed in them when no one else did. That child will grow, perhaps into a leader, a healer, a builder, all because someone chose to be light when it was easier to surrender. Or picture the janitor who cleans the hospital floor every night, unseen by doctors and nurses rushing to emergencies. But he hums softly to himself, occasionally whispering prayers for those inside each room he passes. One night, a grieving father overhears that humming. In the midst of his heartbreak, that gentle sound steadies him. It becomes a memory he carries, not of medical procedures, but of the stranger whose unseen presence brought calm to his storm. The stories are endless, and the light they carry cannot be measured by metrics. This world may never reward you for being kind when others are cruel, for being honest when others lie, or for standing when it would be safer to sit. But your light is not for reward. It is your essence. It is what sets you apart, not as someone better, but as someone awakened. And if you have ever felt alone in that choice, like your light flickers too much or like it isn't strong enough to matter, remember this: even a matchstick can start a wildfire, not of destruction, but of change. There are children today who believe in goodness because someone smiled at them instead of turning away. There are elderly souls who sleep more peacefully because a neighbor checked in. There are strangers whose lives have quietly shifted course because they saw someone else choose integrity over convenience. You may never hear the applause. You may never know the names of those you've helped. But their light grows because yours did not give up. So the next time the world feels too vast, too broken, too indifferent, remember the candle. Be the one who shines, not because it is easy, but because it is right. And in doing so, you become not just a light in the dark, but a lighthouse for those who no longer believe the dawn will come. Shine on, even when no one sees, especially when no one sees, because that's when it matters most. For personal reflections, when your worth is not seen by the world, there comes a moment in almost every journey where silence becomes louder than applause, where your efforts feel unnoticed, and your heart quietly aches with the question, does it even matter? You wake up, you show up, you try again and again. You give kindness when it's easier to be cold. You offer help when your own hands are already full. You hold your tongue when others would lash out. But the world does not reward you. No recognition, no medals, not even a simple thank you. It is in this quiet absence of validation that many souls begin to crumble. Not because they are weak, but because even the strongest hearts long to be seen. Not for glory, but for reassurance, to know that their pain has a purpose and their goodness is not in vain. If you are in that place now, feeling unseen despite all that you give, know this: the world's blindness does not define your worth. Visibility and value are not the same. A diamond buried in the earth remains a diamond even if no one finds it. Consider the roots of a mighty tree. Hidden beneath the surface, they are never admired, never photographed, never praised. Yet they are the reason the tree stands tall, the reason it withstands storms, the reason it blossoms. If those roots chose to give up simply because they weren't seen, the entire tree would fall. You are that root. Steady, silent, vital. Maybe the world doesn't see your sacrifices, how you held back tears so others could smile, how you bit your tongue to keep the peace, how you gave more than you had because someone else needed it more. But your soul knows, and the unseen realm knows. And perhaps, just perhaps, your life was never meant to be a performance for the crowds. Maybe it was meant to be a sacred offering, something deeper, something eternal. There is a kind of strength that doesn't roar. It whispers. It endures. It remains when the stage lights are off, when the seats are empty, when no one claps. That strength is yours. Think of the candle again. Not the one on the pedestal, admired by many, but the one tucked away in a forgotten hallway, burning quietly through the night. A child, afraid of the dark, finds comfort in that light. They never know who lit it, but they sleep in peace because of it. That is your life, dear soul. You may not always see the impact, but someone somewhere is breathing easier because you didn't give up. Someone feels less alone because your presence, even in silence, reminded them of hope. There are moments you gave your best and it was ignored. Moments you spoke truth and it was rejected. Moments you loved deeply and it was not returned. These moments are not wasted. They are part of a larger story, a sacred legacy, not written in headlines but etched in eternity. And when you feel like fading, like your light is too small to matter, remember, even stars we no longer see still shine. Their light travels far beyond what the eye can catch. So does yours. So breathe. Stand. Keep going. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because your soul knows this path is right. Because even when no one sees your worth, you still have it. Because you are not forgotten. You are not small. You are not unseen by the one who matters most. And in your quiet faithfulness, you are writing a story of unshakable light. One day, others will read it, not with their eyes, but with their lives. Let that be enough. You are enough. 5. A shift in perspective. When pain becomes power. It's one thing to endure hardship. It's another to find power within it. You might look at your pain and wonder why it came to you. Why your story had to be written in struggle, why your strength had to be tested so often, and why your hopes seem to be constantly deferred. These questions can be heavy. They echo in the silence after disappointment, in the stillness that follows betrayal, in the quiet of nights when your chest tightens with the weight of invisible battles. But pain is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is preparation, a forging, a refining. Fire does not destroy gold, it reveals it. The people who inspire you most, who carry depth and wisdom, who move through the world with grounded strength, they are often the ones who have walked through great pain. They didn't escape it. They met it, sat with it, let it teach them. And through that, they became something unshakable. That power lives in you too. There is a shift that happens when you begin to see suffering not just as something to survive, but something that can shape you into someone deeper, someone wiser, someone more resilient than you ever imagined. This doesn't mean you enjoy the pain. It doesn't mean you pretend it doesn't hurt. It means you begin to ask, what is this pain growing in me? Is it teaching you patience, empathy, boundaries? Is it guiding you to release people who were never meant to stay? Is it showing you that your worth does not depend on how others treat you? Pain reveals. It uncovers your inner world. And if you're willing to face it, not run from it, you begin to see the truth. Your wounds are not the end of your story. They're the places where light gets in. They are the cracks through which your strength is born. Imagine standing before a mountain. At first, all you see is its size, its impossibility. But the climb reveals you to yourself. Every step uncovers endurance you didn't know you had. Every slip and recovery strengthens your balance. Every breath at the edge of exhaustion deepens your courage. And one day you look down, not just at how far you've come, but at how much you've changed. You're no longer the same soul who started the climb. This is what pain does. It shifts you, grows you, builds you. It is not the easy chapters that make a story powerful. It's the ones where the hero is broken but keeps walking, where hope seems lost but is still quietly burning, where strength is not loud but present. You're that hero, even if no one applauds, even if the world doesn't write your name in lights. When you begin to view your struggle as a sacred process, not a detour but the actual road, everything changes. You stop waiting to be rescued. You start becoming the rescuer of yourself, of others, because the strength you gain through suffering isn't just for you. It becomes a light for others, a shelter, a guide. The scars you carry, they will one day be someone's map. They will point the way for those who are lost in similar storms. And the empathy you now have, that is your superpower, because you've been there. You understand. You don't offer cheap comfort. You offer presence, realness, compassion earned in the fire. The world is unfair, yes, but that does not mean you are powerless. In fact, some of the most powerful people alive are those who have made peace with pain, who have found a way to let it deepen them, not define them. So breathe, brave soul. This pain is not your prison. It is your passage. And one day when you look back, you will see it didn't break you. It built you. 6. A future still worth hoping for. The light ahead is not gone. There are moments when it feels like all hope has packed its bags and left you in the dark. Moments when tomorrow looks like just another repetition of pain, and you wonder if the light at the end of the tunnel was ever real, or just a cruel illusion that keeps moving further away the closer you try to reach it. Maybe you've prayed for years and seen no answer. Maybe you've stayed strong through storms that never seem to end. Maybe you've built everything from scratch only to watch it crumble. And now you're tired, not just physically but in your spirit, in the place where dreams used to live. But let this be spoken clearly into the deepest part of you. Your hope is not foolish. Your waiting is not wasted. Your future is not over. Hope is not a naive optimism. It's not blind positivity or pretending everything is okay. Hope is choosing to believe there is more, even when what you see is less. It's having the courage to still reach out your hand even when it's been slapped away. It's waking up and showing up even when your soul feels empty. The world may be unfair. Life may have been cruel. But within you lives a power that no injustice can erase. The power to rise again, to hope again, to shine again. Don't be fooled by the silence. Just because you don't hear an answer yet doesn't mean your cries are ignored. Just because the ground looks dry doesn't mean the seeds you planted aren't growing. Many roots grow in silence. Many miracles begin in the dark. You have endured too much to give up just before the bloom. There's a season ahead of you where what once felt broken will start to come together, where the ache in your chest will begin to loosen, where the nights won't feel so long and the sun will start to warm your skin again. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. That season may not arrive in the way you expect. It might not be loud or dramatic, but it will be real. It might arrive as a whisper, a small act of kindness that catches you off guard, a conversation that stirs something long asleep, a moment of clarity that suddenly helps you breathe again. And when that moment comes, and it will, you'll realize something profound. You didn't wait in vain. You grew. You changed. You became someone who can now hold joy with both hands, not because your life became easy, but because you became deep enough to carry it. Sometimes the future you long for doesn't look like what you imagined, but that doesn't mean it's any less beautiful. Sometimes the healing you hope for comes slowly, layer by layer, but that doesn't make it any less miraculous. You've been walking through a long night, but dawn is coming. Don't let despair convince you that the darkness is all there is. Don't let the unfairness of life steal your fire. You were not made to stay in the ashes. There's something ahead for you that your pain cannot cancel. There's a version of you rising, stronger, kinder, deeper. There are people you haven't met yet whose lives you will impact just by being real, by being whole, by being you. You might not see the full picture now, but the artist hasn't stopped painting. You are still becoming. You are still part of a masterpiece. Hold on, not because it's easy, but because you are worth the outcome. Let every tear you've cried be counted. Let every sleepless night become fuel. Let every scar remind you that you survived what should have taken you out. And as you take one more breath, one more step, remember, the light ahead is not gone. It's waiting for you patiently, just beyond the hill you're climbing. And when you get there, it won't just be about what you reached. It will be about who you became on the way.